Our Voices Matter Too by Princess Cadence. There was that smile again. She hated that smile. It was a smile that said, I know I screwed up. Can you ever forgive me? But it also said, you know you can't get angry with me. Oh, she didn't need to get angry though. No, sir. Instead, she had a much better card up her sleeve, a counter-expression that contained a heaping helping of disappointment with a pinch of sadness mixed in to make the perfect concoction of, don't give me that look, stew. So, you haven't been practicing your arpeggios, have you? Luster Dawn waved her hoof while blowing a raspberry.
Haven't been practicing my arpeggios? Of course I've been practicing my arpeggios. I just, had a cough during that major fifth in the middle.
The white mare raised an eyebrow while Luster doubled down on her embarrassed smile. A cough? You haven't coughed once since you got in here.
I, breathed in from the wrong tube.
Sweetie Belle put her hoof to her face with a sigh, closing her eyes so she wouldn't have to see her student's expression anymore. Okay then, if it was just a cough, then let's try it again from the top.
Oh,
Luster Dawn flinched, making Sweetie Belle's eyebrow rise even higher.
I was just thinking maybe we could move on to some scales and try arpeggios again on Thursday.
We've done scales 5 times today.
I promise I'm really good at them.
The white unicorn gave the pink pony a dull stare and hit the B-flat key on her piano, seeing her gulp as the tone rang throughout the practice room. Arpeggios, now!
Okay, here I go.
Luster Dawn took in a deep breath. La 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 la! Sweetie Belle winced as Luster Dawn somehow managed to turn a perfect octave into a minor fourth, which she didn't even realise existed at that point. Before the sound could rupture her eardrums, however, Luster Dawn put her hoof over her mouth and started coughing loudly.
See? It was a cough.
What are we going to do with you? Sweetie Belle pulled her full board over the piano keys and sat down on the bench with a sigh. Finally, Luster Dawn stopped smiling, her eyebrows now pinching together uneasily. You're not going to kick me out of lessons, are you, sweetie? Don't be silly. Of course I'm not going to kick you out of lessons. Luster Dawn wiped a bead of sweat from her forehead with a breath of relief. But Luster's eyes shot back up. But I'm a little confused why you're even taking voice lessons in the first place. I know how hard you can work when you put your mind to something, so why does it seem like your voice lessons are the only thing you're shirking off? If you don't like singing, then you don't have to do it.
No, I do.
The pink filly rubbed her foreleg.
I have to be well-rounded if I want to make it into Twilight's School of Magic.
If you want, I can just put in a good word for you. I know Princess Twilight pretty well after all. Luster's eyes went wide, her face pale.
No, I can't ask you to do that.
Sure you can. In fact, I think I have a notepad somewhere around.
Stop!
Just as Sweetie Belle bent over to search through her things, though Luster Dawn pulled her in a golden force field, physically preventing the other unicorn from moving, Sweetie could still see over in the filly's direction. But what she saw was complete panic.
Sorry.
Luster continued.
I didn't mean to, you know.
The force field around Sweetie disappeared, but even though she could move freely now, Sweetie Belle didn't move a muscle. Honestly, she couldn't even consider moving with all the questions swirling around in her brain at the moment. No, I don't know. What's gotten into you, Luster?
It's nothing.
The smaller unicorn ran her hoof through her messy mane. I just want to get into Twilight School based on merit, not because I know one of her friends. There was that smile again, and if she hadn't seen it a million times already, she might have actually believed her. Luster Dawn probably wasn't lying when she said she wanted to get in based on merit alone, but that didn't necessarily mean she was telling the truth either. She was hiding something, and Sweetie was going to find out what it was, to get Luster's attention back onto singing if nothing else. Once the mare regained her composure, she sat up straight, scooched over to the edge of her seat, and patted the cushion of the piano bench beside her. Luster Dawn tilted her head, switching glances between her teacher and the space at her side. "Come on," Sweetie said, gently yet sternly. "You've still got lots of time left in your lesson, and it sounds like you can't keep singing with that cough of yours." Luster Dawn shrunk into her shoulders with a blush, before quickly taking her seat beside the white mare.
Sorry again, sweetie. I don't mean to be a problem.
Problem? Is that what you think you are? Well, yeah.
Theoretically speaking, my psychological theory textbook says that when your lips have a perfect horizontal curve with your eyelids halfway closed, that signifies that either you're tired or you have a problem. And judging based on the volume and intonation of your voice, you've had at least 6 hours of sleep, so...
Good grief, she really would fit in a Twilight school. Luster, how old are you?
Almost 11? How come?
Sweetie leaned in closer, hoping that Luster wasn't secretly using something as simple as the angle of her back to make any more inferences about her mood. Because that's the cut-off age for your chance to apply to school, isn't it? If you really want to show off your singing talents, then you need to practice outside of lessons too. Luster Dawn's gaze dropped to her knees.
I know. Sometimes I get so caught up in my textbooks that I lose track of time. I really do want to practice, but I guess I just want to study more. Magic, science, philosophy, all of it is so interesting. And it's not like singing isn't interesting to me too. It's just not my passion.
Finally, the smile was gone, and for the first time all day, Sweetie Belle could actually see the real Luster Dawn, the one she'd been hiding while trying not to disappoint her. You know, singing isn't my passion either. Luster Dawn had to do a double take.
Hang on, singing isn't your passion? Then how come you teach voice lessons?
Because I think I'm good at it. When my students actually practice. Sweetie Belle didn't raise her voice or tone, but clearly communicated her urgency to where Luster Dawn couldn't help but nod her head with a wince. You can't really tell since my cutie mark has a musical note in it, but my real passion is helping other ponies find out what their passion is.
Oh! And this way you can do something you're good at while doing something you're passionate about. Got it. Too bad I've already found my special talent, right?
Luster Dawn motioned towards her own flank, which proudly portrayed the image of the sun rising over the ocean. Sweetie Belle had been giving her lessons for a few months now, and she already had her cutie mark when they very first met, which brought up one question that she'd been wondering for a while. When did you get your cutie mark, Luster? The filly smiled again, this time in a way that wasn't smarmy or fake.
Oh, this? I must have gotten it ages ago. Not to brag, but I basically learned that I love learning before I even learned how to learn.
Sweetie squinted her eyes. Wait, you learned how to what? The reaction made Luster Dawn giggle, but Sweetie Belle couldn't stop scratching her head.
What I'm saying is, I've always known what I loved.
Oh, that makes more sense. Maybe lead with that next time. The filly giggled again.
Got it.
Actually, I didn't get my cutie mark until I was about your age. Luster tilted an eyebrow.
Wait, really? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it just seems kind of old to figure out what you really love.
Meh, I was a late bloomer. Actually, 2 of my friends got their cutie marks at the same time I did. We must have tried everything before we finally figured it out.
That's kind of funny, actually.
The pink unicorn laughed into a who's.
I mean, no offense, of course. I guess I can't really relate since I've just always known what makes me happy. I guess maybe my biggest problem is figuring out what I love more sometimes.
Sweetie Belle cocked her head to the side. But you just said you already know what you love most.
I know, it's just... forget it. Let's go back to arpeggios.
Luster Dawn quickly, yet not hurriedly, pushed herself off of the bench. But Sweetie Belle just as quickly grabbed the filly's hoof and gently led her back to her seat. Oh no, you don't. There's still more you aren't telling me.
I know, but logically speaking, wouldn't it make sense to move on to more productive tasks?
There she went again. She thought she could use logic to get out of something she was obviously trying to avoid. She was a smart girl, and she did have a point. But she wasn't dealing with just any voice teacher, even if Sweetie didn't exactly have any business prying into her personal life. She still had the obligation to ask. Normally, yes, the teacher began, but singing is different from math or science. You can hit all the right notes in a song and still not be singing what's written on the page. The filly scratched her head. That makes no sense. Music isn't about making sense. It's about emotion. It's about bringing the notes to life. Even if your voice oscillates at a specific frequency or whatever, if your heart isn't what you're using to connect the notes together, then you'll never be able to bring to life what the composer had in mind when she wrote the notes down in the first place.
So,
the whole concept must have been so vague to Luster Dawn. She'd always been so quick to quantify things that when it was time to forget about the specifics and feel things out, she was in a completely different sphere, way out of her comfort zone. Now Sweetie was beginning to see why Twilight wanted her students to be well-rounded and quietly thanked her for it.
if I understand what you're telling me,
Luster began.
then I have to tell you what I'm feeling before I'll be able to sing well?
Sweetie Belle shook her head. You don't have to tell me anything. You just need to confront what's bugging you instead of trying to push it to the back of your mind. Trust me, these things always have a way of popping up when you want them to the least. Luster Dawn rolled her eyes and mumbled under her breath.
Great, that still means I have to talk to you about it.
What? As the filly's eyes slowly moved up from the ground to meet her teacher's eyes, Sweetie felt a pinch in her own heart. Her eyes were practically shining from the water in the back of her eyelids. Not crying, but still trembling. The smile from earlier hadn't just disappeared. It had turned into a frown so powerful that Sweetie had to stop herself from hugging the bejesus out of her right then and there. This wasn't like Luster at all. Sweetie could tell that whatever was bugging Luster Dawn, it must have been absolutely killing her on the inside. Luster?
Sweetie, I want to tell you, but I'm so scared.
What's going on? Was she being bullied, harassed? Was some pony going to hurt her? What else could have possibly been so scary that she couldn't even talk about it? Without thinking, Sweetie put her hooves on Luster Dawn's shoulders and looked into the filly's eyes with a look that could kill. Luster, I need you to be honest with me. Are you in danger? Do I need to get any pony else involved? Luster Dawn shook off the mare's hooves with a face of disgust.
What? No. Just, can't we forget about it, please?
Even if Sweetie Belle was still confused, she couldn't help but sigh in relief, knowing that at least Luster was safe. Still though, if that wasn't it, then what was bothering her? Sorry, the mare said. I just needed to know you were okay.
Okay? I'm not okay. Why did this have to happen to me? I thought I knew what I wanted. I've always known what I wanted, but now... I hate this.
Sweetie Belle couldn't help but lift an eyebrow. Hate what? As the filly stomped off of the bench into a spiral of frustration, she lifted her head back with a gulp. And even then she probably didn't mean to. A single tear fell down the girl's cheek.
I feel so stupid. The decision is so obvious. I should just practice my stupid arpeggios so that I can get into the School of Magic. Why is that so hard?
Because you found other things you love, Sweetie replied with a supportive smile. I know it's hard to concentrate sometimes, when the thing you care about most starts to distract you, but you don't have to beat yourself up over it. I can help you get through it. Sweetie was sure that she'd said all the right things, but for some reason Luster Dawn just shook her head, scowling even harder as she attempted to keep herself from letting the floodgates open up.
Sweetie, you're the problem.
What? Sweetie Belle's head reeled back in shock. What had she done wrong? Was she being too overprotective? Had she said something that hurt Luster's feelings? She thought she was doing a good job, so how was it that she had practically brought her favourite student to tears without even realising it?
I told you that I wanted to practice my arpeggios.
That's fine, the mayor replied, holding her hooves up in a panic. We can work on your arpeggios if that's what you want. We don't need to talk about it.
But I want to talk about it. I'm just scared to talk about it. With you.
The air in Sweetie's lungs froze. With me? Finally, visibly stealing her nerves down, Luster Dawn held her head high and looked Sweetie Belle in the eyes, making the older mare reflexively flinch.
It's not that I found something I love. It's just that I found some pony that I love.
Suddenly, Sweetie Belle could feel her face turning a bright shade of crimson. In all the years she'd taught voice lessons, none of her students had ever confided in her about their crush issues before, and this one seemed to be no short of this filly's first real love. Sweetie silently cursed herself for not taking those junior seminars seriously. Oh, the mayor replied, trying to hide her embarrassment. That's great. Tell me about him.
Her.
Okay. Obviously, I'm kind of bad at this, but let's keep going. What else can you tell me about her?
Well, she's really pretty.
Oh,
She's got a great singing voice.
perfect. All the more reason to practice your arpeggios.
And her name is Sweetie Belle.
Not what I was expecting. Sweetie Belle had no idea how she was supposed to respond, but the one thing she did know was that she'd done it wrong, as was made evident by Luster's immediate reaction.
Ah! See? I feel so stupid.
The filly ruffled her hooves through her already messy mane, giving herself close to an afro by the time she was done. Sweetie Belle wanted to say something, but how could she? What was she even supposed to say? Hey, it's okay, the mayor said with a smile she hoped didn't look too forced. You don't need to feel bad about that.
Are you kidding? I just humiliated myself. Gah! Where's that memory wiping spell when you need it?
Actually, why don't we talk about it some more without erasing my memories? Luster Dawn peeked an eye out of her hooves to see Sweetie's reassuring smile, and with another aggravated groan, she took her seat next to her teacher again. Sweetie Belle couldn't help but mentally celebrate her victory of not having her thoughts recomposed against her will.
So,
The filly began, still too timid to make eye contact with the older pony. Right, we were going to talk about,
me being in love with you?
I really should have let you practice those scales.
I know, it's stupid. A filly shouldn't fall in love with a grown mare. I just couldn't help it. You're always so supportive and nice and beautiful.
Sweetie Belle had to look away to keep her cheeks from burning up to the temperature of Celestia's noonday sun. After she'd moved her thoughts away from the barrage of compliments, though, she realised a more important question that she'd initially overlooked. I don't understand, Sweetie said. I mean, even if you have a crush on me, why is that stopping you from practicing outside of lessons?
Because
Luster's eyes dropped to the floor again.
if I get really good at singing, I'll get accepted into Twilight's School of Magic.
And suddenly everything made sense. And if you get accepted into the School of Magic, you'll have no reason to see me anymore.
Yeah, pretty much.
Calling this a unique situation would have been an understatement. Sweetie didn't even know what to do with her hooves anymore, let alone how she was supposed to continue this conversation. It was becoming more and more obvious that their practicing was basically done for the day. So should she just send Luster Dawn home? No, that would give her the wrong impression. She didn't want Luster to think she was angry at her for anything.
Sweetie, can I ask you a question?
The white mare shook her head to pull her attention back to her student. Yeah, go ahead and ask me anything.
Is
Her voice trailed off.
it okay that I like you? I mean, I know it's not okay, but...
Luster, of course it's okay. The filly's face looked up in surprise. I guess I'm just a little frazzled is all.
But we're both girls, and there's such a big age difference between us.
Just as Luster Dawn's face drifted back to the floor, however, Sweetie put a hoof around her shoulder, making the filly look up in shock to see her teacher's beaming smile. That's okay, Luster. You're allowed to love whoever you want, no matter who they are. Finally, a smile showed up on Luster Dawn's face again. Not one that tried to hide her shame, but a genuine, honest-to-goodness smile that put Sweetie Belle's heart at ease.
Thanks, sweetie. I love you. Sorry. I should keep that to myself for now.
Sweetie Belle laughed and shook her head. It's fine. You don't need to worry about it. Think we should do some more practicing? We still have some time left in the lesson after all. Luster Dawn rubbed her foreleg.
Actually, I was hoping we could talk some more.
Just as Sweetie was beginning to open up her fall board again, she quickly closed it back up, swiveling in her seat to face her student. Sure, what else you want to talk about?
Well, I still don't know what I should do. I really want to get into Princess Twilight's school, but I also really want to stay here with you. I know you're going to say I should still try to get in, but...
I think you should try to get in. Luster Dawn rolled her eyes.
Gee, thanks for analysing both perspectives.
The mayor chuckled. I did, Lester. You love magic and science and all that technical mumbo-jumbo. I can't let you give up the opportunity of a lifetime, all because of me.
I guess that answers my second question then.
The filly's smile disappeared again, and yet again, Sweetie didn't know what she did wrong. Second question?
I was just wondering how you felt about me, but I guess that answers that question.
Sweetie Belle flinched internally. Yet another question she really didn't know how to answer. What even were her options at this point? No matter what she said, her emphasis needed to be on encouraging Luster Dawn to get into the School of Magic. But if she said the wrong thing, Luster would think that Sweetie didn't care about her, which was the complete opposite of how she felt. Now that she thought about it, how did Sweetie Belle feel about Luster Dawn? Of course, this was her favourite student, and she always loved getting the chance to see her. In fact, it was kind of the highlight of her day. But that was just because Luster Dawn was always so supportive and nice and beautiful. Oh, sweet Celestia! Luster Dawn cocked her head in confusion. Pardon? It's nothing. Sweetie Belle looked away while shaking her hooves and silently hoping that the burning sensation in her cheeks wasn't visible. Crap, right after telling Luster Dawn that it was okay to fall in love with whoever made her happy, Sweetie found herself with her own internal struggle that completely contradicted that theory. Maybe it was okay for Luster Dawn to like whoever she wanted, but not Sweetie Belle. That made sense, right?
It sure doesn't look like nothing, sweetie. Are you feeling alright? Your face looks like a tomato right now.
Oh great, a tomato. A gosh dang tomato. Have you always called me by my first name? Normally my students call me Miss Bell. Luster Dawn shrugged her shoulders.
You were the one who told me to start calling you that.
I did? Great, what other mistakes had Sweetie Belle made? Hang on, she still didn't know if this was necessarily a mistake. Wait, of course this was a mistake. She must have something wrong with her. No respecting full-grown adult would fall in love with a girl who hadn't even reached her 11th birthday yet, right? She had to shake this feeling fast. While Sweetie went to war with her own mind, however, Luster Dawn began to cringe.
Are you sure you're okay? There's steam coming out of your cheeks right now. Maybe I should go get some...
No! Just as Luster Dawn hopped off of the piano bench, Sweetie Belle grabbed her hoof, looking down at her knees, still too nervous to look the filly in the eye.
Sweetie?
No, don't go. Stay here. Stay with me for as long as you can. The filly giggled, making Sweetie Belle look up in curiosity.
I'm only going to get some water. I'm not leaving you.
Sweetie Belle breathed a sigh of relief and embarrassment, trying her best to let her heartbeat slow back down to a normal rhythm, although at this point, the secret that she didn't even know she was keeping had probably slipped out unintentionally. The older unicorn looked back at her student to see her reaction, expecting the filly to be confused and concerned, but instead she saw that Lusterdorn was trying to keep herself from breaking out into a giggle fit.
Is there something else you wanted to say, Miss Bell?
Well, there was no point trying to hide it now. Clearing her throat and lifting her shoulders back up, Sweetie Belle looked down into her student's snarky smirk and calmly said, "Yes, I was having a heat stroke, but I'm all better now."
Oh, really? Because one of the symptoms of heat stroke is a lack of perspiration.
Sweetie blinked, continuing to maintain a stoic face despite her student's grin growing wider. "I'm covered in sweat right now, aren't I?"
Drenched.
"What's the one right below heat stroke?"
Heat exhaustion?
"Yeah, I was suffering from that." Lusterdorn's entire body bounced forward as she again tried holding back her laughter, and after a moment to recompose herself, she said, "Oh really? Are you experiencing any dizziness? Rapid pulse? Muscle cramps? Nausea?" "Actually, all of the above. Shoot, am I really suffering from heat exhaustion?" At this point, Lusterdorn could no longer hold in her laughter, and suddenly she was rolling on the floor, kicking her legs wildly as her boisterous guffaws filled the practice room. Sweetie, meanwhile, fell forward with her face in her hooves, trying somehow to hide herself from the embarrassment she was feeling. "I'm gonna guess she knew the whole time it wasn't heat exhaustion." Lusterdorn allowed one more chuckle before rising back up to her hooves.
Well, you do have all the symptoms, so it's hard to say for sure. Let me just check one thing really quick.
Sweetie Belle pulled her face away from her hooves, and as she did so, she found her cheeks heating up again. Suddenly, Lusterdorn's forehead was pressed against hers, giving the mare the most personal view of the filly's smile that she'd ever seen. Her heartbeat was accelerating, her breathing caught in a mix between stagnant and uncontrollable. Had Lusterdorn's eyes always been so pretty? Had her smile always made her heart jump like that? Finally, the filly pulled away and said,
No, I think it's heat exhaustion.
Sweetie Belle gulped. "Are you sure?"
Want me to check again?
The older unicorn froze, but after a few brief moments of silence, she slowly nodded her head, allowing the filly to close the distance between them again, placing their foreheads together and getting another close-up of Lusterdorn's face. The feeling of her mane brushing against Sweetie Belle's cheeks made her back shiver. The way she giggled pulled the breath out of her lungs. If they stayed like this much longer, Sweetie Belle might legitimately pass out, which would definitely be bad news for her 3:30 appointment. The big question though was what now that the problem that Lusterdorn was facing earlier was finally beginning to sink in, and Sweetie Belle finally began to understand exactly what Lusterdorn was going through. Sweetie only realised the expression she was making when she saw the smile disappear from Lusterdorn's face, replaced instead with a look of concern that tore Sweetie Belle's heart apart.
Hey, are you okay?
The filly asked.
You're not really feeling sick, are you?
Lusterdorn pulled away, giving Sweetie the chance to rest her head onto her hoof. No, I mean, I am feeling sick, but it's not anything worth worrying about.
Sweetie, even if you say that, I'm still going to worry.
Of course she would. She was just perfect like that. And it was for exactly that reason that she had to let her go. I think you should apply to the School of Magic. Lusterdorn's mouth scrunched to the side.
Huh? Where's this coming from all of a sudden?
Luster, Sweetie Belle sighed. I know how you feel about me. Trust me, I really do know. But you can't let me stop you from doing what you were born to do. You're so good at everything, and that includes singing too. All of Equestria would be missing out if you didn't become the best version of yourself possible.
But what about you? It's not like I don't love you as much as magic or science or philosophy. It's not like you don't make me a better pony.
Exactly. Could you really say I'd make you a better pony if I didn't tell you to enroll in the School of Magic? Lustre Dawn winced, and even though Sweetie Belle could feel the same pain in her own heart, this just reaffirmed that she was making the right choice. You can accomplish so much, Lustre, but I can only help you in 2 ways. One is singing.
And the other is leading me towards my true passions?
Lustre Dawn looked up from the ground and into Sweetie Belle's eyes, and even though she could tell Lustre was putting on a brave face, Sweetie was the one really trying not to let her emotions show. Lustre, you know I care about you.
Then can you tell me just once?
Sweetie Belle opened her mouth, but before she could speak, the filly placed her hoof onto the mare's lips.
I promise I'll go to Twilight School if you tell me, but I need you to be honest here. You said we're free to love whoever we want. If that's true, I need to know for sure right now.
Sweetie Belle couldn't wait another moment. Without thinking, the mare engulfed the young pony into a giant hug, and even though Sweetie Belle's eyes were closed, she could feel how wide Lustre had grown. She could feel the filly's heartbeat accelerating, pounding against her own chest, but after the initial shock wore off, Lustre's pulse returned to normal as her hooves squeezed against Sweetie Belle's back. I love you, Lustre Dawn. The filly squeezed tighter.
I love you too, Sweetie Belle.
And then the hug broke. Both unicorns looked into each other's eyes, but neither one cried, despite the overwhelming emotions swelling up within their chests. Then, with either the best or worst timing in the world, a timer went off on the piano, signalling that the lesson was officially over. Again, the two of them looked into each other's eyes, neither one really wanting to leave the other. But they both knew Sweetie had other students who would be there any minute. Their time was up, at least for now.
So,
Lustre began, twirling her mane. My audition is in 3 weeks. Then I'll know if I've been accepted into the School of Magic. Good, good. Let's practice as hard as we can to make sure you get in.
Right. So, I'll see you Thursday?
Sweetie Belle smiled. Send me a letter.
You mean when I go to the School of Magic?
No, before your next lesson. Lustre Dawn tried to raise an eyebrow, but her beaming grin completely ruined the cool image she was going for.
You know it's Tuesday, right?
I know. I feel like I'm going to miss you in the meantime. The filly giggled, and with her smile growing even wider, she nodded her head.
Okay, hopefully you'll be able to keep up, because I have a feeling I'll be writing more than one.
I'm going to need the practice for when you get accepted. Then we'll really see who gets sick of who first. Sweetie Belle threw in a wink, and at that moment they both heard a knock at the door, pulling their head out of the clouds and grounding them back to reality.
Thanks, sweetie. I'll see you next time.
The minute Lustre Dawn opened the door though, she was met with another filly pushing her way through the entrance with 2 very tired looking parrots standing behind her.
Hey, hey! Watch out, Equestria, because Flurry Heart's about to show you all how good this princess can sing. La 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 la! That's my range.
Lustre and Sweetie turned toward each other with the exact same expression.
Good luck.
I'll need it.
She can look pretty, shine like the city, make him stop and stare. She can cross his path, hope he does the math, that 1 + 1 is 2. But he's gotta be the one to reach out and take her hand, play his part and protect her heart. That's what makes a man. then he wooed her, then he wooed